Hey, KCC, it's me, Pastor Jeff, and I'm just here to follow up with what we were talking about on Sunday morning. And that is that family ministry gives parents more power. The truth is that we don't all have it down. We're not all perfect. Some of us have already made mistakes that might worry us about what impact they'll have on the future. But I want to give you a couple of encouragements. The first one is it's never too late to get it right. One of my very favorite kings in the Old Testament was Josiah. I think the reason that I liked Josiah growing up is because Josiah was a kid when he became king when he was 8 years old. What little kid would not love becoming king at 8 years old? Here's what I like about him, though. He had a dad that was wicked. His dad did not follow God. And he learned to not follow God from his dad, who spent most of his life being an ungodly king. But towards the end of his life, he got it right. He repented. He turned towards God. And in that time frame, when he walked with God, I believe he was able to influence Josiah. Josiah wasn't learning to love God from his dad, but I bet he learned it from his grandpa. See, it's never too late to turn it around. Even if you've missed the boat, maybe there's some regret you have about some of the ways that you've influenced your kid. There's still hope for you to influence somebody else. The truth is that it's always about our walk with God. My walk with God will be of the utmost importance, not my kids' walk with God. Because if I'm only putting on a show, if I'm only pretending, and I'm expecting them to follow my example, the truth is they'll follow my example. They'll see right through me. Eventually, whether they notice it just because they notice some inconsistency between who I am on Sunday morning and what kinds of things I say to them and then the way I act when nobody's around, or it could be a watershed moment where my sin becomes evident. And that's the example that they will follow. And so my faith is of the utmost importance. Barna research shows that the number one reason that kids leave the church, that they leave their faith, is the hypocrisy they see in the church and in the Christian faith as they grow up. And while it's true that I fail and Pastor Dave fails and Pastor Kenny fails, it's mom and dad's faith that they're looking at. They don't come home with us. They go home with you. So that's why your faith is of the utmost importance. You have got to get it right. You have got to invest in your own walk with God, in your own spiritual well-being, and then worry about your kids. You know, when you're on an airplane, they always go through the safety guidelines, right? And admittedly, I don't pay attention to those anymore. I know the drill, right? Like, you know, there's exits over here and over there. And in the case of emergency, a mask is going to fall down from up above. And they always demonstrate it like you don't know how to put on a mask. You always worry about your own mask before you help somebody else. And that is such a hard thing to think about as a parent, to think that if my kid was there and needed oxygen, that I would stop and put my own mask on before their own. But the reason we do that is because we are utterly incapable of helping someone else if we are dying. So we put on our own oxygen, then we deal with our kids. Well, we must put on our own faith. We must invest in our own faith, our own walk with God, because if we're dying and drying up on the inside, what is it that we have to give? The only thing that we have to offer is that which we have already received from Jesus Christ. So it's important. Put on your own faith and then worry about helping to pour into someone else's faith as well. So that's what we want to encourage you. As a parent, worry about your faith. And then take that faith that you have cultivated and pour that into your kids. I'm not saying you have to get it right. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. But be growing. Be taking in so you have something of value to pour out. And as a church, we must be taking in the Word of God and being filled with the Spirit of God so we can continue to pour out into the lives of other parents, of other kids, of other students. Family ministry is very important. Thanks. We will see you guys on Sunday.